Hello students. So today's point of discussion is cyclic structure of glucose. Now we all know very well that glucose is aldohexose. It means that glucose consists of aldehyde group and it consists of 6 carbon atoms as well. So being aldohexose, it is expected from glucose to behave like aldehydes. But actually, what happens? Few reactions shown by aldehydes are not shown by glucose. So that made to think on the structure of the glucose. So, what actually are those properties? So, remember, glucose do not react with, do not react with 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine. We all know very well that aldehydes react with 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine to form corresponding 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazone derivatives, which happens to be the imine product. And same thing is expected from glucose, but glucose failed to react with 2,4-dinitrophenylhydrazine. Then NaHSO3, I mean glucose, do not give addition reaction with sodium bisulfite, whereas normal aldehydes do so to give addition product, what we call bisulfite addition product. Secondly, glucose give negative. Glucose give negative Stips test. Negative Stips test. So remember, aldehydes are capable of reducing Stips reagent. We all know very well. But glucose do not show this test. And third very important thing, glucose pentaacetate. Glucose pentaacetate do not react with hydroxylamine, that is NH2OH, whereas normal aldehydes react with hydroxylamine producing what? Corresponding oxides. So these are those reactions which are shown by aldehydes, but glucose failed to do so. I mean, glucose do not show these properties. So this thing made us to think why glucose failed to do so. So it clearly suggests that the aldehyde group might have changed itself in some other format. So the deeper study come to know the exact structure of our glucose, and then nowadays we know that the glucose exists into anomeric form. Remember, so glucose has two anomers, alpha and beta. So to in order to study those anomers, what we need to do? Do prepare the saturated solution of glucose and heat it well. So if at all you will heat that saturated solution of glucose up to 303 Kelvin, then alpha anomer gets separated. And if we heat that saturated solution at about 371 Kelvin, then beta anomer crystallizes out. Now let's see how and why these things happen. Now let's see this cyclic structure of glucose. Now remember, in open way, how glucose can be given. So hereby I am drawing the structure of glucose. This is the aldehyde group CHO. This happens to be the second carbon CHOH. This is the third carbon CHOH. This is none other than the fourth one CHOH. This is the fifth one CHOH. And this is none other than the sixth carbon. So this is our glucose. Now exactly what happens? The OH group, which happens to be the polar in nature, we all know very well, as oxygen is more electronegative than hydrogen. The shared pair of OH bond get attracted towards itself. Thus, what happens? OH group on fifth carbon, I mean this carbon, get added to the carbonyl group. So hereby one can write OH in this manner. We all know very well oxygen is electronegative, so charge separation can be shown in this manner. So exactly what happens, we know that the carbonyl group is polar one. So this OH group on fifth carbon of glucose get added to the carbonyl group. So due to this addition, what happens? Acetal is formed, and that can be shown as, so due to addition of hydroxyl hydrogen and this oxygen, OH can be written in this manner. So this constitute the second carbon CHOH. This is none other than the third carbon CHOH. This is the fourth one. Now this is the fifth carbon, and the OH on fifth carbon get added to the functional carbon, which lead to the formation of what? Acetal. And this is the cyclic structure, which consists of six membered ring. Have a look at this: one, two, three, four, five, six. So this carbon, which was functional carbon previously, now this is said to be the anomeric carbon. And if OH group on anomeric carbon is on the right hand side, then this is known as alpha anomer. So this is called as alpha D glucose. Now what D suggests, this we are dealing with the glucose which resemble or which belong to the D series, as this glucose resemble the D-glyceraldehyde. And now if take a look on other anomer, if the OH group on first carbon, which happens to be the anomeric carbon, is on left hand side, then the anomer so obtained is said to be the beta anomer, which can be drawn as. So this is the beta anomer. So this can be given in this manner: CHOS third carbon. This is none other than the fourth carbon. And we all know very well this is the fifth carbon, and OH group on fifth carbon get added to the functional group, lead to the formation of acetal. Now remember, this happens to be the beta D glucose. So this is the beta anomer, as OH group on first carbon is on left hand side. So these are the cyclic structures of glucose, and these are the anomers. Remember, as configuration on first carbon changes, and remember, rather than first, if configuration of glucose changes at another chiral center, then those isomers are called epimers. So alpha and beta, these two are the anomers. Now question is how these anomers can be represented on paper. So for that we may adopt the Haworth projection. Now let's see how Haworth projection structures can be of the glucose can be drawn. Now remember, let's see the Haworth projection. Haworth projection for glucose. Now remember, cyclic structure of glucose consists of six membered ring, and that clearly resemble the pyran. Pyran is heterocyclic compound having six membered ring. Now to draw the glucose, we need to draw the six membered heterocyclic ring, oxygen pointing at the right corner in this manner. So this is the six membered ring in which oxygen is at the right corner. Now the carbon which is just connected to the oxygen is anomeric carbon, and anomeric carbon in case of glucose happens to be first carbon. This is second, this is third, this is fourth one, and this is the fifth carbon. Now remember, the groups whatever present in the cyclic structure on right hand side should be written in downward, should be written down, and the groups whatever present on left hand side should be written up, especially that for the sugar of the D series. And remember, for D series, CH2OH connected to the fifth carbon should be written on upper side. So remember, if you are drawing the alpha anomer, then we all know very well that OH group is at right side. So that should be written in down and H to the up. Now in second carbon, we know very well that OH group is present on right hand side, but in case of third carbon, OH is at left side. So we are writing this up. Now in fourth carbon, OH is present on right hand side, so we are writing in downward position. And we are, as we are dealing with the sugar of the D series, so CH2OH always should come upside. So this is nothing but the Haworth projection structure of glucose, especially of alpha anomer. So how this can be named as, this is alpha D glucopyranose. Alpha D glucopyranose, as this structure resembles the pyre. Now, how would you draw the its anomer? I mean beta anomer. So, in order to draw the beta anomer of the same, I mean glucose, what we need to draw? We need to draw first of all six-membered heterocyclic ring in which oxygen is at right corner. Now the carbon which is connected to the oxygen happens to be the anomeric carbon and it stands first, second. Now this happens to be third, this happens to be fourth. This is none other than the fifth carbon. Now we all know very well in case of beta anomer, OH group is present at left side. So we need to write it on the upside and hydrogen at down. Now, as far as second carbon is concerned, we all know very well that OH group is present on right hand side. So we need to write in this fashion. So this is the configuration of third, configuration of fourth, and to the fifth carbon CH2OH should be mentioned on the upper side as we are dealing with the sugar of D series. So this happens to be the beta anomer of glucose. So this is beta D glucopyranose. This is none other than beta D glucopyranose. So remember, this is alpha and this is beta anomer of glucose. So it was all about the cyclic structure of glucose. Thank you very much.